Hello, 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 Crucible Companions! Welcome to another AndyForge video. This is the second of 4 Awakenings deck videos before we dive into the newest KeyForge adventure and then our regularly scheduled deck openings. There's a lot of stuff in the works behind the scenes that I can't share with you guys right now, but keep your eyes peeled in the coming months for a various slew of updates that might be regarding this channel and a bunch of other stuff, but let us dig right in. I have pre-cut the side here, so it's hopefully a little bit easier for us to just kind of tear into. Looks like this is our deck, and then is this... Okay. Upside down and backwards. Alrighty. Let's see what houses we got here. Starting with Mars. We've got a green Archon. We've got Unfathomable, Star Alliance. Okay. Not bad. Unfathomable and Mars are really, really good. Star Alliance can be great, depending on what you get. This is Virius the Taciturn. Virius the Taciturn. It's like a robot coming out of a sort of Martian thing with crab legs? I don't know. The crab legs are separate. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they look like crab legs. That's probably the best comparison. Very, very interesting looking Archon here. That awakening treatment is still super, super cool. Okay, give me one moment. We will break this open and do the card reveal. Okay, here we are with the card reveal. Here's another look at our Archon without the plastic this time. I didn't notice before, but there is like a chain ring kind of around the Archon itself. Makes it really cool. Kind of seems like it was locked away or something. Flip. Oh, actually, let's not flip it over. Let's set aside the deck list there. Our Archon card. And of course, the additional rules. Set that to the side there. Now let's flip it. Starting in Unfathomable with, this is very exciting, we got a Tentaclid, which means that this deck has Omnipus in it. I'll flash them on the screen, but we're going to see the card later. Tentaclids are awesome, especially if we get, I'd say a medium number of them. A lot of them can stink because it pulls away from how many cards are in Unfathomable. But if they get enhanced, there's a lot of benefits to Tentaclid. It's a 3-power creature with Skirmish and Taunt. They also cannot reap. We've got 1, 2, 3 Tentaclids, okay? None of them are enhanced, which kind of stinks, but oh well. Then we've got a Wacolia here. It's a 3-power creature with After Reap. Keys cost +2 during your opponent's next turn. Some decent Amber control from a Reap there. Ooh, Trawler, quickly becoming one of my favorite Unfathomable cards this set. It's a 4-power creature with play. If you are haunted, capture all of your opponent's Amber. One of the weird Unfathomable cards because it relies on you to be haunted, not your opponent, whereas a lot of the other ones rely on your opponent being haunted. Echoing Death now. Play, deal 1 damage to each creature. If 1 or more creatures are destroyed this way, repeat this effect. It's very, very cool. Love this. It can turn into a board wipe, especially against, you know, stacking boards, something with like a heavy Star Alliance, or anything with token creatures from Winds of Exchange. That can be some good creature control. Echo Guardian, 1-power creature with 4 armor. It's got Taunt, and while you're haunted, Echo Guardian gains +2 power and gains poison. Very cool. Crushing Deep, some more Amber control. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, during your opponent's next turn, keys cost +3 for each forged key they have. Get real expensive. Very good for taxing that second key. Call of the Void is an action with an Amber Pip. Play, exhaust a creature. If it was already exhausted, destroy it instead, and its controller loses 1 Amber. Some creature control mixed with Amber control. This is very good if you can get some other exhausting things in your Unfathomable. The Curse of Confusion comes to mind, especially in this set. Ooh, Thought Swim. It's an upgrade with an Amber Pip. This creature gains while your opponent is haunted. This creature cannot be dealt damage. Very, very cool. It is a great way to keep certain things on your opponent's board. Like if you really want to keep around the... Oh, goodness. It's an Infiltrator Versatile Geistoid card. What's it called? Okay, it's on the screen. But if you want to keep that alive for longer, keep wiping its flanks, It'd be very, very good, but we will almost certainly be using this to keep our Omnipus alive. Then we've got Rust Miser here. It's a 5-power creature with After Reap, exhaust an enemy artifact. Wish this was something that could exhaust creatures as well, could take better advantage of that Call of the Void. And then our Omnipus. It's the 8-power creature with Omnipus cannot fight and play. Discard the top 8 cards of your discard pile Discard the top 8 cards of your deck, play each Tentaclid from your discard pile. After Reap, gain 1 amber for each friendly Tentaclid. So if we reaped with our Omnipus, we would gain 1 from the reap, and then 3 additional amber from our 3 Tentaclids, as long as they're in play. So it's a 4 amber reap. Thought Swim could help keep the Omnipus around, so as long as we're able to keep our Tentaclids in play, that could be really, really good. I haven't really looked too closely before, but it looks like it's chasing a Star Alliance ship. It's very interesting. Cool art. Speaking of Star Alliance, we're digging right into them. With the action Unprepared, it's got an Amber Pip, and play, choose a house, stun each creature of that house. It's actually a really good creature control card. Strength from Diversity is an action with an Amber Pip. It enhances a capture and a discard pip into the deck. Play, each friendly non-Star Alliance creature captures 1. That can be really good. Retro Technician Lee, 2-power creature with enhanced with a discard pip. If you are haunted, Retro Technician Lee enters play ready. After Reap, you may play a creature from your discard pile. Retro Technician Lee is very interesting. We actually had in our just the Awakening deck that we had just opened a Retro Technician Lee enhanced with a discard, and we answered the idea, or at least we talked about it in the comments, that if you are at 9 in your discard pile and you discard with this pip, Retro Technician Lee will not enter play ready. So, because the pip will resolve, but Technician Lee, since that isn't a play effect, is already technically in play so that the pip can resolve. Very, very interesting kind of timing for KeyForge. 4-power creature, Quartermaster Body, is play after fight after reap. If you are haunted, capture 2. Very, very good. Love to see this capture. Hopefully we have a good way to take advantage of it. 2 of those, this one with a capture pip, so theoretically a capture 3. Pyro, not bad. 3-power creature that has splash attack 3 and reads, Pyro may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text, this creature gains splash attack 3. Just one of those, that's good. Then we've got Calm Officer Palk here. It's a 3-power creature with versatile, and after fight after reap, a friendly creature captures 1 amber. Love this guy. 2 of those. Hopefully we can get a Triangulator Newsome in here, take advantage of all this capturing, goodness. Then we've got Prototype Harness. It's an upgrade with an Amber Pip, and it reads, this creature gets +6 power and gains at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to this creature. Not bad. Ooh, Hayden Oswin. It's a 2-power creature with After Reap, gain 1 amber for each upgrade on Hayden Oswin. We've got a number of upgrades. Thought Swim would be very good for Hayden Oswin in specific. There are a couple routes in this deck to do some big amber gain. It seems like all of our control is through capturing though, so we have to hope that we can take advantage of it. Then we've got the artifact Exploratory Craft here. It says, action, exhaust up to 3 friendly creatures. For each house represented among the exhausted creatures this way, draw a card. The creature's exhausted this way, rather. Ooh, okay. We've got the 4-power creature, Commander Drixgar. After an upgrade is attached to Commander Drixgar or one of its neighbors, gain 1 amber. Fantastic in combination with Hayden Oswin. Very, very cool. Wish we saw a reprint of Army Officer Nell in this set. They would all work together very well in these upgrade kind of combinations. And that's it for Star Alliance. So no great way to take care of the captured amber. Maybe Mars will have an answer for us here. In Mars, we're starting with the 2-power creature, target Yinixdil? Yinixdil? Sure. Play, archive a card from your discard pile. After reap, archive target Yinixdil. Very, very good. Great for taking advantage of some powerful Mars actions. Got Plague Wind here. It is an action that reads, play until the end of the turn. Each non-Mars creature gets -3 power. Very strong board control. Might be difficult for us. We got 2 of those just because we have so much capture as our amber control. This could really bite us in the butt. But in other scenarios, it's very good. Ooh, we got Flotsam Spewer here. It's a 2-power creature with Splash Attack 2, and each of Flotsam Spewer's Mars neighbors gains Splash Attack 2. Very good. I like only having one of these, just because in multiples it starts to take up space and be less effective as far as the cards in the deck go. But I kind of wish that maybe Flotsam Spewer said that every creature, just each of its neighbors, gains Splash Attack 2. I get that Mars works together, but the effect in and of itself isn't that great, considering most Mars creatures are going to want to reap for something. We have the action Mars first here. Fantastic action. It's got an Amber Pip and play, ready and use a friendly Mars creature. Ooh, Grabber Jammer. 4-power, 1 armor creature with your opponent's keys cost +1, and after fight, after reap, capture 1. Some more capturing, but we also get key cost increase there, which is really good. We got the Glixel Proliferator, 3-power creature with after reap. If Glixel Proliferator is on a flank, archive a Mars card from your discard pile. Very good, especially good with the Mars first. If we have some powerful Mars actions or something coming up, it would be a great way to be able to reutilize them. 2 of those, okay, awesome. Ooh, Distant Void Probers, 4-power creature with after reap. If you are haunted, your opponent's keys cost +3 during their next turn. Scrap, an enemy creature captures 1 amber from its own side. So as of right now, this is probably one of the best ways to deal with all of that captured amber. Being able to force an opponent to capture 1 onto its own side after it kind of returns to their pool from our side of the board, or being able to increase their key cost. It seems like the key cost increasing cards in this deck are going to be very important because we will be returning large sums of amber to our opponent. Then we got the 4-power, 2 armor creature here, Abductomatic. After fight, if you are haunted, capture 2 amber. Scrap, the least powerful friendly creature captures 2. Okay, a lot more capture. This is a very good target to have sit next to the Flotsam Spewer, just to get that 2 power, especially since it has an after fight. War of the Worlds, play, destroy all non-Mars creatures and deal 2 damage to each Mars creature. Most of our Mars creatures survive that. That's some more good creature control. Oh, goodness. Okay, so this is going to be the most important card in this deck. The thing that we are absolutely going to want to archive thanks to our Mars First and Proliferator, or just Proliferator in general. Psychic Network, play, steal 1 amber for each friendly ready Mars creature. Fantastic. So that'll be the best way to deal with amber control after we've returned it all post capturing it. Although we want to keep our Mars creatures on the board, so we're going to need to protect them. Thought Swim is a very important card in this deck for either Omnipus, Hayden Oswin, or probably Proliferator to be able to recur the Psychic Network over and over, hopefully. Very, very interesting. Okay, well, give me just a moment. I will separate this out and we will do the deck breakdown. Okay, and we are here with the deck breakdown of the Awakening decks here. Fantastic. So we've got everything separated into our usual piles. There's our Archon card, Amber Control, Expected Amber, Artifact Control, Creature Control. We are, for Grim Reminders, doing a new Haunted pile, but the only card that was in our Haunted pile was Omnipus, which was better applied to our Expected Amber just for the general goals of the deck, which we'll talk about. So it is empty, but that is only because there was one card which is in one of these piles already. There is our SAS score. We're looking at 72. It's a pretty good SAS. We have a -4 from Anti-Synergy, which makes sense. It is basically just the 3 cards, the War of the Worlds, and then the 2 Plague Winds, which was to be expected. This deck really functions at its peak if it can keep all of its creatures on the board until it decides to kill them, with something like a Plague Winds or a War of the Worlds destroying our captured amber creatures so that we can have a better Psychic Network. So that Anti-Synergy makes sense, but 72 certainly isn't bad. There is our extras and counts. Only 7 bonus amber. We've got a lot of expected amber from a variety of sources, but bonus amber is really, really low in this deck. I'm certain that Omnipus did not help, just because Omnipus doesn't come enhanced, and then the 3 Tentaclids don't come enhanced, but by virtue of its combo, it increases expected amber by a good bit. So, very interesting. We only have 10 actions, which is well below average. You're looking at typically about a 13 for average. 23 creatures, which is very above average. That's about 5 more creatures than usual, which works very well for this deck. If we can keep all of our Mars creatures on the board for a Psychic Network turn, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Mars creatures. So, I mean, that could be a theoretical 7 steal if we can get it to pop off properly. Then we have 1 artifact in the Exploratory Craft, 2 upgrades in Prototype Harness and Thought Swim, but we also have Pyro, which can be played as an upgrade that is important of note for Hayden Oswin and what's his name? Commander Drixgar, because playing an upgrade is important for those two, and Pyro can become one. Our Haunted score, I will put the Haunted right there, is a 4, which is not very good. Our odds are pretty low at being haunted when we want, but Omnipus alone is 4. It just bumps it up real big. And then because we have a discard pip and only 1 artifact, and the fact that we have 10 actions, it's just very likely that we will have cards in our discard pile, even if we are trying to keep our recur creatures. In our archive section, we have Target Unixlid and 2 Glixel Proliferators, which will very much help with the Psychic Network. No key cheats, no scaling amber, and then board wipes. We have 3 plague winds. We have a 3 rating, 3 board wipes, 2 plague winds, and then more of the worlds. So we'll have to go into Mars for our creature control for the most part. Let's clear that away. And then there is our amber and control. We've got 12 amber control, 20 expected amber, which is good. It's pretty high despite only having 7 bonus amber. A 0.3 in artifact control because we only have Rust Miser, and then 10 creature control, which isn't very high, but definitely isn't bad. I've seen much worse creature control. I've also seen much worse amber control from Grim Reminders, so we're looking pretty decent. Let's dig in here. Starting with Distant Void Prober, I think this one is pretty low just because of the number of conditions. It has to already be in play ready, and then you reap with it, and then if you are haunted, then your opponent's keys cost +3. It is much better served as its scrap effect of forcing an opponent's creature to capture 1 onto itself, but even then, that's not super repeatable, and it only affects 1 amber. Then we have Calm Officer Palk here, which is just fantastic. Calm Officer Palk was also unexpected amber just because it was versatile, but being able to use this creature every turn and being able to capture with it every turn, probably, dare I say, other than Calm Officer Kirby, one of the best Calm Officers. 2 of those guys, which is awesome. Then we have Quartermaster Body with a capture pip, 2 of those. So the capture in Star Alliance is pretty crazy. Lots of amber control in Star Alliance. Abductomatic for its afterfight and its scrap effect. Just by nature of its high power and armor, I think it's going to stick around more, and we can take advantage of it pretty good. Wacolia with an after reap just increasing key cost. Trawler with the ability to capture all of the opponent's amber. Strength from Diversity for a just general board capture. This is also, I think, the only card that enhanced anything in our deck, because it enhanced the Quartermaster Body and the Retro Technician. So it enhanced in the same house, and these are the only 2 enhancements that we got. Crushing Deep for key cost increase, which again will be very important with our capture. Grabber Jammer for capture and key cost increased with a pretty healthy stat line. And then, of course, the Psychic Network, the star of the show, the most important card in this deck. We have to hope that we can get Omnipus out early so that we can really dig down, find this, and then archive it. Hopefully repeatedly. Then we're digging into our expected amber here. Hayden Oswin is the lowest. Hayden Oswin is only 2 power, doesn't have a very high survivability chance. It also, or she also reads after reap, gain 1 for each upgrade on her. We only have 3 upgrades, so if we're able to get all of them on her, this is a reap for 4, but the only upgrade that would really protect her, I guess, well, the Prototype Harness would protect her too, but it also does damage to her, so it kind of puts a timer on it. But Thought Swim and Prototype Harness is pretty good, so there are ways to keep her alive, but there are a lot of contingencies. Retro Technician Lee, arguably, the second most important card in this deck. So they are clearly here because of the ability to interplay ready and then reap and then play other creatures, producing more chances for reaping and gaining amber. But they are very important in this deck just because they can recur our Mars creatures to help rebuild the Mars board. They can help us recur the proliferators or the target Unixlids to archive Psychic Network when we need. They also can recur and play our Omnipus, which would in turn protect them and be able to produce more expected amber and get us to Haunted sooner. So Retro Technician Lee is very, very important right after Psychic Network. I would say tier of importance: Psychic Network, Retro Technician Lee, Omnipus. Then of course Mars first, it has an Amber Pip, and then it readies and uses a Mars creature, which will almost certainly be a Reap effect. Commander Drixgar, which is just by the act of playing upgrades, you gain additional Amber, so it's pretty easy to pull off, especially since we have 2 of our upgrades in Star Alliance, with Prototype Harness and Pyro being able to be played as an upgrade. So it is likely that we could play this and then immediately get 2 amber, and then maybe more if we already had Hayden Oswin on board. And then of course, one of the stars of the show, Omnipus here, with the After Reap gain 4 ability, which is pretty awesome. Or I guess it would be After Reap gain 1 from reaping and then 1 for each Tentaclid, but in theory, a gain 4. Artifact control is real simple. We got Rust Miser, which can exhaust our opponent's artifacts. Good for some artifacts, completely pointless for others. It is rated very low as far as artifact control is concerned, and that makes sense, but not a bad creature. I wish Rust Miser was printed in Grim Reminders. That way Rust Miser could get some sort of cool scrap effect that would also apply to it. Then we are looking at our creature control here, starting with Call of the Void, good action, some amber control baked in, Pyro for its splash attack upgrade and just having it, Flotsam Spewer for splash attack, Death Knell for the repeatable damage, Plague Wind. So Plague Wind's actually going to be very good in this deck. It is anti-synergy, so there are a lot of scenarios when it just will not be played. But because it specifically targets non-Mars creatures, there is a chance that on a turn we could have a full board of our ready Mars creatures, and then have our Trawler with our opponent's full amber supply captured onto it. And then we could play Plague Wind. I think we would need 2 of them though, because Trawler is 4 health. Yeah, but if we have both of our Plague Winds, or just an ability to deal damage to Trawler, or have dealt damage to Trawler using Echoing Death Knell or something, we can kill Trawler on a Mars turn, and then steal all of that amber with the Psychic Network. So while it is anti-synergy most of the time, there is a scenario where we just can wipe all of our non-Mars creatures, return any and all captured amber, and then steal it with Psychic Network. Then Unprepared is really good, choosing a house and stunning each creature. It's a really great way to lock down the board. This could be an important card to recur if we didn't have Psychic Network or had more opportunities to kind of archive cards or play around with our discard a bit more in this deck. This would be a very good target. And then of course War of the Worlds, destroying all non-Mars creatures and then dealing 2 damage to each Mars creature. I think that does kill some of our Mars creatures. Let's see. Target Unixlid would die, Flotsam Spear would die, Proliferators would be at 1 health basically. So not great if we're trying to set up for a Psychic Network just because it could kill 2 of our Mars creatures, but if those 2 Mars creatures aren't ones that we actively have or are worried about, then another great way to kind of play directly into the whole Psychic Network plan. Okay, clear that away. There is our speed and board. Last section that we're going to discuss. We have a 2.6 in our efficiency here. That is mostly from exploratory craft, actually, which I'm kind of surprised. I feel like I'm going to need to reap very often, so unless we have a bunch of like Mars creatures in play that we can exhaust on a Star Alliance turn, it is unlikely that we can really dig into it. And it draws for each house exhausted, so we could exhaust 1 Mars creature and then 1 unfathomable creature. It says up to, so I mean, I guess you're always drawing as long as you have a non-Star Alliance creature in play, but it just, I don't know, it feels very situational. Maybe it is not, since we're trying to establish a pretty hefty board anyways, but that is our highest efficiency. Omnipus is next for the big discard, and then strength from diversity. Why is that efficiency? Oh, it enhances a discard pip, so that got put into the deck, which is good. Our effective power is pretty good. It seems relatively normal at 89. The big things are Echo Guardian, Abductomatic, and Omnipus, of course, and then a couple of those Tentaclids. And then War of the Worlds is negative because it's a huge board wipe. Recursion, we've got pretty decent recursion with Target Unix still, Retro Technician Lee, and Double Glixel Proliferator. Omnipus is also in here, I guess just because... Oh, because it plays the Tentaclids, so that is recursion. Creature protection's not bad. It is higher than 0, which is always good to see, thanks to the Tentaclids, the Thought Swim, and the Echo Guardian. No disruption and no other in this deck. So that is our speed and board. Clear that away. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was our second Awakening video, so we've got 2 more ahead of us. I think I will just be posting these every Monday going forward until we hit our kind of regularly scheduled videos. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. And remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. Have a good one.